10 Famous Empaths. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I would be considered as belonging to the dark side. And often, many individuals who are famous, renowned, holding positions of power and influence, belong to our brethren, the narcissists. But why should the dark side have all the fun? Are there not individuals who are empaths, who are famous, influential, and powerful? For reasons which are somewhat obvious, the stage, the platform that is afforded by fame, power, and influence attracts our kind like moths to a flame. It enables us very effectively to achieve the prime aims of control and fuel character traits and residual benefits. The ability to control hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of people. The ability to draw fuel from all of those people. The ability to acquire the residual benefits, fame, the facade, and of course, money. There are other aspects of the residual benefits aside, but becoming famous, becoming powerful, becoming somebody in a position of influence is hugely appealing to our kind. And whether it's in the field of entertainment, sport, the creative arts, politics, industry, entrepreneurship, philanthropy, religion, you will find that the stage is crowded with our kind. From captains of industry to famous sporting individuals, actors and actresses, directors, artists, authors, writers, playwrights, titans of industry, religious gurus, spiritual leaders, many are narcissists. But there are those who've managed to weave their way through the viper's nest which are these arenas, and have got to the top, that hold those positions of power and influence, and are famous. And there are a number of notable famous empaths. I will explain to you 10 of these famous empaths. I'll explain to you why they are the empath, and I'll also explain to you which school and cadre they belong to. You will be familiar with my work, or you ought to be, that when it comes to categorizations appertaining to narcissism, I divide people into the narcissists, those who have narcissistic personality disorder, those who are narcissistic, meaning they have high narcissistic traits, some low empathic traits, and some low emotional empathy, but do not have the personality disorder. Normal people who have empathic and narcissistic traits, and are capable of considerable emotional empathy, but for a narrow radius of people, and don't have any emotional empathy or limited emotional empathy for people outside of that circle, and then the empaths. The empaths are the ones that are hunted by our kind, because you cater to the provision of the prime aims better than anybody else, and you're easier to ensnare and keep ensnared. Many empaths are not famous. Fame does not appeal to them. Indeed, for some it's the anathema of their existence. But there are those that, because they do have narcissistic traits also, are able to seek fame, but still behave in an empathic way. And there are more than you might realize. Within the group of empaths, I categorize into different schools: standard empaths, contagion empaths, super empaths, and codependents. 4 schools of empath. Some people have a majority, meaning that their traits lean mainly towards one particular school, with smaller amounts of another school, maybe 2 or 3 other schools. There are others who are hybrid, that don't have a majority, and instead are from at least 2 schools, possibly 3 or 4. I then also categorize with regard to cadre, of which there are 5: magnet, martyr, saviour, geezer, and carrier. And again, Most people have at least 2 of those when they're an empath with regard to their cadre. Some individuals have a majority cadre. For example, they are the majority saviour, with perhaps some carrier and magnet thrown in. Others are triple, quad, or quintuplet hybrids, whereby they don't have a majority and have either a significant minority, a strong minority, or a very strong minority. And if you're interested in learning more about what your categories are, you can utilise the Empath Detector test. And if you go to narcsite.com, and in the menu bar, you can take the Empath Detector to determine, first of all, whether you are actually an empath, and if you are, what your school and cadre is. You'll find it very illuminating and very useful with regard to understanding more about narcissism and your susceptibilities in that regard. But what of the famous empaths? Well, I'm going to detail to you 10 of those, and I will tell you also their school and cadre to give you more understanding and to help you contrast those behaviours and similarities, of course, between famous empaths and famous narcissists, to give you a further grounding in education in understanding the differences and similarities. Understand that anybody who isn't a narcissist has both empathic and narcissistic traits, but in varying degrees and strengths. Empathic individuals could have quite strong narcissistic traits, but they will have even stronger empathic traits. Some may have very weak narcissistic traits and strong empathic traits. There are differences dependent upon the constitution of the relevant traits for each empathic individual. And the same applies to famous ones. So you may, for instance, get a famous empath who has considerably strong narcissistic traits appertaining to showmanship, to vanity, to pride. But their empathic traits outrank those things, and they are able to utilize those narcissistic traits in a healthy way, for instance, when they appear when they're acting, or on stage as a performer, or as a broadcaster. And then they tuck those narcissistic traits away in their interpersonal relationships with people so that nobody is harmed. These individuals don't have a necessity either for control or for fuel. And therefore the distinctions are important and valuable. So look out for a video that's coming very soon indeed, that will explain to you more information about empaths, identifying 10 of them who are famous, which will contain some surprises also. In the meantime, you might like to hazard a guess at who you consider to be a famous empath, and you can provide your observations and comments in the comment section, suggesting who you think is an empath, which ones they are, and of course that they are famous. I can tell you now, Meghan Markle won't be in the list. So, let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to giving you more information about this very soon indeed. Thank you in advance.